Has been digging through the court documents, joins us live with the newest details tonight. Michelle?
Well, hi there, Preston. Let me just say this out of the gate. Bottom line, evidence is going to dictate the charges here. I think the big finding in the court documents today was this. Preliminary ballistic testing shows that the gun recovered from that 15-year-old is not the weapon that was used to kill those two innocent bystanders. 3 days since the mass shooting, and the charges against the only person arrested, a 15-year-old male, appear to reveal that investigators are still trying to piece together what bullets killed 2 people and wounded 4 others, and from what guns. But one certainty, they believe he should be tried as an adult. Because of his young age, just 15, that'll be up to a judge to decide.
In reviewing the allegations, prosecutors believe that request for adult jurisdiction is the right one to make here.
Investigators say the 15-year-old suspect in custody fired into the crowd using a polymer 80 ghost gun with an extended magazine, an illegal and untraceable gun with a 33-round capacity. When police found his gun, they say it still had 19 live rounds in the magazine. No word if this could be that teen, but a KOMO viewer captured a person being taken down, apprehended, and hauled away in the minutes after the shooting. A memorial growing now where families, children, vendors, and performers ran for their lives. Police believe a third person killed, a 19-year-old, and that 15-year-old were in a gang-related exchange of gunfire with a third unidentified suspect who remains at large. Police continue asking anyone with video or information about the shooting to contact detectives, and in a rare move have opened a community portal where video from that fatal night can be uploaded to police. Why not a homicide charge?
The Seattle police investigation is still ongoing. Police are trying to answer a lot of questions that are still out there about the case. Right now, what prosecutors have received is not a murder case from police. It's the assault referral.
Now, that 15-year-old scheduled to be in court here tomorrow. If he's here, we will be here as well. It's likely that could be canceled because the next step now in this case, now that we know prosecutors want a judge to consider trying him as an adult, that will likely be the next step. That'll be up to defense attorneys and prosecutors to argue to the judge, and it'll be up to the judge to decide. And I can tell you that typically takes, at a minimum, months. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Michelle. Time for tonight's KOMO Pulse Poll. You can scan the QR code there on your screen to answer this question. What do you think is the best strategy for curbing gun violence? Live results here tonight. See a majority, pretty much almost everyone here, 85% say tougher sentences for offenders. Drops way down to 8% saying earlier intervention with at-risk youth, and then 7% more gun control laws. We'll share the updated results tonight on KOMO News at 11.
Tonight, we're looking closer at the guns used in the shooting and the criminal history of one of the alleged shooters. KOMO's Jeremy Harris is live from Seattle Center with new information about a prior shooting connected to the 19-year-old man who was killed on Sunday. Jeremy.
Yeah, police said early on that 19-year-old who was killed, well, he was one of the shooters who opened fire into the crowd here. Well, now I found court records showing he was previously charged, and he was well known to Seattle police for having an illegally modified handgun.
We recovered 14 shell casings from 2 different caliber of weapons.
Investigators found 3 guns at the scene of the shooting at the Bite of Seattle Festival. Those will now be crucial evidence in the case of a teen accused of firing into the crowd in what police describe as a gang shootout that killed 2 innocent bystanders and injured several more.
The real miracle here is that more bystanders weren't injured.
William Kirk runs Washington Gun Law.
So there is, a half a dozen crimes that were violated just leading up to the actual shots being fired.
One of the guns recovered is a so-called ghost gun. These can be assembled from kits bought online. Or a kit gun, those are illegal in Washington.
That's correct. A ghost gun is essentially a fabricated term. The possession of unserialized firearms in the state of Washington, and certainly the manufacturing of them, and then the sale of any component such as unfinished frame or receivers, have all been illegal in the state of Washington since 2023.
We also now know one of the people who died in the shooting, 19-year-old Junior Nico Samo, had previously been involved in a shooting in South Seattle. In that 2024 case, police say he was illegally in possession of a handgun that had a modified Glock switch, a small device that enables the gun to fire automatically. Police say one of the guns recovered here had the same device.
So you have at least 2 individuals who are unlawfully in possession of a firearm, because under both state and federal law you have to be 21 in order to possess a handgun. You have a firearm that was an untraceable firearm, which is prohibited by state law. You have another firearm that has a Glock switch on it, which is prohibited by both state and federal law.
There are other cases in juvenile court involving that 19-year-old who was killed, but those records, it appears, have been sealed, so we don't know the severity of those cases. As for the guns, we know the ATF, they were here at the scene. They're assisting Seattle police with the extensive work of tracing back through those firearms. Reporting live from Seattle Center, Jeremy Harris, KOMO News.
Jeremy, thank you. Happening tonight, here's a live look at Seattle Center, where there's about to be a silent vigil for the victims of Sunday's mass shooting. That vigil begins at 6:30 tonight at the International Fountain. KOMO's Claire Weber will be there. Watch for her full report tonight on KOMO News at 11.
Security plans for the Bite of Seattle have been called into question after Sunday's mass shooting. And tonight we're hearing from vendors and attendees who are bringing up serious concerns about the event's security. KOMO's Lynn Ann Nguyen joins us live tonight from Seattle Center with what we've learned so far. Lynn Ann?
Well, Preston, vendors at the Bite of Seattle say that there has been a lack of communication from event organizers since what happened on Sunday, and no preparation on what to do or where to go in the event of an emergency.
No security, no pat down, no search of the bag.
Days before a deadly mass shooting at the Bite of Seattle, Caleb Mitchell had already called out the lack of security at the annual event that attracts thousands of people to Seattle Center.
Not any security walking around.
Mitchell recording this video highlighting the issue Friday afternoon, 2 days before a shooting left 3 dead and several injured.
When I got into the event with my firearm, I was starting to think to myself, how many other people in here have a firearm with all of these kids, all of these families?
Vendors at the Bite of Seattle also say security was noticeably lax with an open event anyone could walk through, and there was no preparation from event organizers on what to do in case of an emergency.
There was never like an orientation about emergency situations, so that maybe like have those type of meetings, you know, in case of emergencies, like we should probably all locate here.
Moving forward, Seattle police have said they'll be ramping up their presence at future large events. And organizers for the EDM show happening this weekend at Seattle Center say there will be security screenings to enter and security personnel on site. But questions still remain on what security plans were in place for the Bite of Seattle.
As a company who is doing an event in pretty much the backyard of the Space Needle, surprised there was no cameras, surprised there was no bag check, security, dogs walking around.
And we did reach out to reps for Seattle Center as well as event organizers for the Bite of Seattle. We have not heard back yet from event organizers, but reps for Seattle Center did say that because about issues like security staffing or surveillance cameras. They did share, however, that security planning is specific to each event, and in the days and weeks ahead, they'll be working with their partners to evaluate their response and review the existing security measures to see where they can improve. Reporting live in Seattle, Lynn Ann Nguyen, KOMO News.
All right, thanks, Lynn Ann. You can follow the newest developments with the mass shooting anywhere you are, any time of the day. Just download the free KOMO News app for the latest headlines plus weather and traffic alerts. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel where you'll find extended interviews and videos.